Om Shri Gurubhyo Namah Harihi Om Dhyayamo Dhavalavagunthanavatim Tejomayim Naishtikim Snigdhapangavilokinim Bhagavatim Mandasmitashrimukhim Vatsalyamritavarshiniim Sumadhuram Sankirtanalapinim Shyamangim Madhusiktasuktim Amritanandatmikam Ishwarim Om Amriteshwaryai Namah Om Amriteshwaryai Namah Om Amriteshwaryai Namah. Om Amriteshwaryai Namah. It being a Friday, let's continue our discussion with Bhaja Govindam. So far we have discussed the first 12 verses of the text. As we have done before, let's quickly recap so that we are aware of the context with which we are moving into the verses that we would discuss today. So the first 12 verses, the first verse was about the so-called technicalities of life that we define, to go beyond that and to exercise devotion, call out to the divine. Second one was about wealth and greed, to overcome that. The third one was about being obsessed with the physical appearance of ours and others that we get attracted to, go beyond that. The fourth one was just defining life, how life is so unpredictable and we need to be prepared for all the surprises the life would throw at us. The fifth one was about people and their relationship with us. It remains strong until we have abilities and wealth. Once that depletes, people's following also slowly depletes. And then the sixth verse was about how it's natural that people will slowly start forgetting about us the moment life leaves this body. The body is devoid of life. The seventh verse pointed to how we are obsessed to so many various things in different phases of life, as a child, as a youth, as an old person, and that we don't have time to contemplate on the actual reality. We are wasting our life, is what the seventh verse talks about. The eighth one is again about just summarizing the limitations of relationships that we have. So, reminding us to raise the question, who am I? To define, to understand who I actually am, is what the eighth verse is about. The ninth verse, then once we ask who am I, how do I get going in the right direction? So begin with good company. Through good company, try to let go of detachments. Through that, get out of the delusioned world that we live in. Through that, we could achieve the ultimate state of being completely free, was the ninth verse. The 10th verse was about how all that we hold significant at some point of time doesn't remain significant at some other point of time. So just remind ourselves, if this is not going to be significant later, why am I so obsessed with it? Is what the 10th verse discussed. The 11th verse was about, if they are not significant at some point of time, if they are not permanent in nature, why take pride in that? Let go of that false pride, is what the 11th verse pointed about. And then the 12th verse was about dualities. Every experience, every moment that we have in our life gives us dual experiences. Some may be pleasant, some may not be pleasant. So as long as we get bound by these pleasant and unpleasant experiences and get carried away by them, we are not going to find happiness. Happiness is the middle path, is what we discussed the last week. Today, we'll move on to the 13th verse, which goes as Kate Kanta Dhanagata Chinta Vatula Kim Tava Nasti Niyanta. Trijagati sajjana sangati reka bhavati bhavarnava tarane nauka. So let's look into the pronunciation first and then look into the meaning as we always do. For every time I pronounce a term, please respond twice. Ka, ka, ka. Te, te, te. Kanta, kanta, kanta. Dhana, dh, so dha, dhana, dhana, dhana. The second term is gata. So together it would be dhana gata, dhana gata, dhana gata, dhana gata. Chinta, chinta, chinta. Vatula, vatula, vatula. Kim, kim, kim. Tava, tava, tava. Nasti, nasti, nasti. Niyanta, niyanta, niyanta. Kate kanta, dhanagata chinta, vatula kim tava nasti niyanta. Please respond twice again. The second part. Trijagati, trijagati, trijagati. It is three and then jagati together. Trijagati. Sajjana, sajjana, sajjana. Sangati, sangati eka. Together it would be sangati reka, sangati reka, sangati reka. Bhavati, bh, so bha, bhavati, bhavati, bhavati. The next term is bhavarnava. So it is bhava and arnava. Bhavarnava. So together it is bhavarnava. Bh. So bha. Bhavarnava. Bhavarnava. Bhava and arnava. Bhavarnava. Please respond twice. Bhavarnava. 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 Tarane. End with the dot below. So na, rolling your tongue up. Tarane. 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 Nauka. 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 There's some technical issue, so I have to do the video on a separate computer. So every now and then you would see me looking at the computer on the left, because I have to make sure it's going smoothly. There's no hiccup anywhere. Okay, coming back to the verse. So it is Kate Kanta Dhanagata Chinta Vatula Kim Tava Nasti Niyanta Trijagati Sajjana Sangati Reka Bhavati Bhavarnava Tarane Nauka. So let's sing it or chant it twice. If you're familiar, please join me the first time itself. Else, just take a listen to it once and then join me the second time. Kate Kanta Dhanagata Chinta Vatula Kim Tava Nasti Niyanta Trijagati Sajjana Sangati Reka Bhavati Bhavarnava tarane nauka. Once more. Kate kanta dhanagata chinta vatulakim tava nasti niyanta trijagati sajjana sangati reka bhavati bhavarnava tarane nauka. So let's look into the meaning word by word first. The question is ka te kanta. Ka, who? Te, yours. Kanta, your beloved. In this case, it's in feminine aspect because it is written by a he who is a renunciate. So the question is, who is your spouse? Who is your wife? In feminine aspect is how the question is. Who is your beloved one? Who is your spouse? Who is your wife? Dhana, wealth. Gata, go towards. So being attached to wealth. Chinta, your thoughts that are obsessed with wealth. Your greed, your obsession with wealth. So kate kanta dhanagata chinta. What is all this about? Your obsession with your relationships, your obsession with your so-called wealth. Vatula. Vatula, to be distracted, to be unsettled. Kim, what? Tava, your. Nasti, na asti. Asti, being. Being is asti. Nasti, na asti negates the meaning. Not being. So the question is, your distracted mind, doesn't it have what? A niyanta. Niyanta is a controller. One, not exactly controller, a better term would be a guide. One who guides you in the right path. One who keeps your confused, unsettled mind under control. So don't you have anything like that in life is the question. Tri Jagati. Jagat, the creation. Tri Jagat, the three worlds. Tri Jagati. In the three worlds, Sajjana Sangati Eka. Sajjana, Jana, people. Sat Jana, people with good attitude, good company. Sajjana. Sangati. Sangati, companionship. Association. So Sajjana Sangati, association with good-minded people. Satsanga. Eka, alone, one alone. Alone by association with good people alone in all the three worlds. Bhavati. Bhavati, to be. Bhavarnava. Bhava, referring to our ego, or referring to the samsara, the ocean of transmigration, the vicious cycle of life and death. Arnava, ocean. So in this ocean of bhava, in the ocean of ego, the ocean of samsara. Tarane, one who takes us across, or to go across, to swim across. Nauka, boat. So in all the three worlds, what is the boat that would take us across the ocean of transmigration? It is Sajjana Sangati, to be associated with right-minded people, to be associated with Sajjana, people with good thoughts and good mind. So the overall gist of the verse, there are 3 points that this verse points to. One, about the distracted thoughts that we have, about the relationships we have, the obsession that we have, about wealth. Both of these, it's pointing out to that. Try to understand, try to recognize the distracted mind that we have, which is obsessed with wealth and relationship. Second question is, with this distracted mind, unsettled mind that goes haywire, don't you have something that controls it? Don't you have something that guides it in the right direction? Is the second question we need to ask. The third question is more or less an answer to the second question. What is it that would guide us? It is good company that would guide us to take us across the ocean of ego, the ocean of transmigration, the ocean of unending cycle of birth and death because of our attachments. So these are probably the three main points that this verse is pointing out to. The term used here is niyanta. Right? Vatulakim tava nasti niyanta. The distracted mind, doesn't it have a niyanta? Doesn't it have someone who could control and discipline and command you whenever required so that you stick onto the right path? Because right from when we are born, we are so used to someone guiding us, right? Right from day one. It's our biological mother, our father, our relatives. As we grow further, our teachers, our friends, our neighbors, our uncles, our aunts. As we go even further, our professors, roommates, whoever else that we get associated with. All of them have some influence on us or the other. Our parents, siblings, relatives, friends. So whether we realize it or not, we do get influenced by the people around us. The point is, are we getting influenced by the right people? Is the question. And so is the case in our spiritual journey too. We do get influenced by the people that we associate in the satsang. And most importantly, we get influenced by the guru that we choose. The preceptor, the one who tells us what is right, what is wrong, one who takes us in the path to realize who we truly are. So guru plays a very important role in helping us grow spiritually. So when you say sajjana sangati, definitely we do need good company. We do need people that help us develop or delve in positive thoughts rather than anything else. But most importantly, we do need a Sadguru. Most of the scriptures, they point out to the importance of a Sadguru. And even this text, Bhaja Govindam, the very last verse or one of the last verses is about, after discussing all these facts of life, the final point is we need the grace of the Guru so as to reach the ultimate goal, is what even this text talks about. So this is just a gist of the final point that is to be made. So the point here is have good company, and the best company we can have is that of the Sadguru. The Guru, we may have heard Amma mention it so many times. Amma says, as much as we need grace, we need self-effort too. So as much as Amma guides us, there needs to be, it's not that Amma will just guide us, let her do whatever she wants. There needs to be equal amount of effort from our side. Only then Guru's grace will flow through our actions, resulting into whatever the consequence, positive consequence is going to be. So as much as we need the Guru's grace, Guru's guidance, niyanta, we also need our own guidance, our own grace. Amma says we need the supreme grace, the grace of the divine. At the same time, we need our own grace. Amma mentions it so many times in her satsang. So Guru's role is more like the steering wheel in a car. The Guru will help us steer in the right direction, always remain on the right path. But the acceleration or the thrust is our effort. If the Guru just helps us steer in the right direction, but we don't have the thrust to move forward, the steering wheel, the grace that we get from the Guru, the supreme grace that we talk about, goes in vain. So to make the best out of the grace that comes onto us, we need our own effort that we need to put in. Only when both these combinations come together do we really make progress. In the Bhagavad Gita chapter 6, there is a verse that goes as Uddharet atmanatmanam natmanam avasadayet atmaiva hyatmano bandhu atmaiva ripuratmana. Uddharet atmanatmanam. Raise your own self. How do you raise your own self? Atmanam. Atmana Atmanam. Raise your own self through the means of your own self. Na Atmanam avasadhaye. Don't let yourself bog down. Atmaeva hyatmano bandhu. Who is the best companion of your own self? Your own self. Atmaeva ripuratmana. And who could be the worst? Atmaeva ripuratmana. Who could be the worst foe that one could have? The own self. So, to raise our own self, the effort needs to be from our own self. It doesn't depend on someone else. It's not someone else who's going to come and raise us up. The Guru plays a role, but like I had mentioned, as Amma mentions, Guru raises us up through our own self, through our own effort. So, if we help ourselves rise, we are our best friends. If we help ourselves go down because of our ego and all our negativities, we are our own enemies. We don't have to find or discover an enemy. We ourselves are the worst enemy we could have. And we ourselves could be our own best friend if we kindle and develop the right attitude, the right qualities. So, when you say Niyanta, a controller, a guide, Guru plays an important role, and we also play a very important role. That's why I'm always says a Guru doesn't guide you outwardly, rather Guru's guidance is turning you inward to realize and recognize your own true potential. In Malayalam, or in many of these South Indian languages, in Tamil too, if I'm not wrong, there's this phrase called Nyan Padi Deivam Padi, or Nan Padi Deivam Padi. Padi, half. Me, half. God, or the divine, half. My effort is half. The divine's grace is half. Only then does my endeavor, my effort become complete. We need our effort, and we need to make our effort such that we become eligible of divine grace. Only then whatever we try becomes complete and successful. So how do we dive deep within? Like the verse points out, Sajjana Sangati. Good company. To associate with the right people, with the right attitude, and most importantly, association with the Guru. We discussed that a few weeks ago, right? How the Guru's presence, like when we are in Amma's presence, automatically we are tuned into that positive flow of thoughts, a positive attitude that just comes. Like I had mentioned, even two people who cannot face each other, never in good terms, even they work together during Amma programs, right? They may have seva, right, standing next to each other, but for whatever reason, they just coordinate well, they just get along well. That positive feeling automatically comes in the Sadguru's presence, in Amma's divine presence. That is because Guru or Guru's presence is a catalyst for us to look within and not look at others. We are then more focused on our own true self, whether we are aware of it or not, whether we realize it or not. We are least bothered about what are her negativities, rather, we knowingly or unknowingly are more bound by our own positive qualities. Each one of us has a lot of good qualities, whether we realize it or not. And in Amma's presence, those good qualities automatically brim up. And sometimes we don't express those qualities at all, other than these 2 days that we spend with Amma. But these qualities are existent within us, and those qualities come up, and we just become good individuals during Amma programs or in Amma's presence. We are less bothered about what are her or his negativities, rather, we are more into tuning our positive qualities, making it come out. So, Guru's primary purpose, or the primary focus, or the goal that the Guru has, is to help us realize our own potentials, to realize our own shortcomings, to use our potentials and to overcome our shortcomings. It's like the story of the wife, or husband, let it not be a sexist joke. You consider it either husband or wife. So the spouse goes to the doctor and says, my significant other has a severe or serious problem with anger management, loses temper so quickly, hot tempered and short tempered, and this has really made life into hell. We just don't have good relationship that we are able to maintain. Any little thing, the husband starts shouting. So, doctor, please help me resolve this issue. Please tell me what could I do to help my spouse control anger. The doctor discusses further on various situations where the spouse got angry, and the doctor realized what the actual issue is. The doctor said, interestingly, I just got a very special medicine yesterday, and this is kind of a magical medicine. All you need to do is, it just works so magically, so wonderfully. All you need to do is it produces some form of positive waves or positive feelings that whoever is around just calms down. And he goes into his room, comes back with a bottle of some potion inside it, and says, all you need to do is take a sip. Whenever your spouse gets angry, take a sip. Don't drink it. Just keep it in your mouth. Take a mouthful and just swish, 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 swish. And it'll have magical effect. You will see it's very evident that your husband would calm down very easily, or your wife would calm down very easily over some time. And the person is so happy, takes the potion with him or her, and then after a week comes back very happy, telling, oh my God, this just magic potion just worked so wonderfully. I need more of it. Because every time my spouse got angry, I just drank, took a mouthful, and just swished for the next 5 minutes. And more I swish, better it works. And this is so magical. I'm so impressed by it. I would want many more of these bottles. Can you please give me more? And can you please tell me what is special about this? What is it that is magical in it, that is working so well? And then what the doctor says, all I did, I went into my room, got a bottle, filled some tap water inside it, and that's all what I gave you. Is just normal tap water. There's nothing magical in the water. All I needed was, I found out the problem was not with your spouse, the problem was with you. And all I wanted is you keep your mouth shut. So I thought, well, how can I make you keep your mouth shut? The best is fill water into your mouth. That way, you keep your mouth shut, thus the situation doesn't accelerate and things are under control. The problem is not with your spouse, rather this problem is with you. So every time your husband or your spouse, maybe we can all try that. Anytime our boss or whoever we don't have a very good relationship with, they shout us or we think they are losing control, best is we take some water and swish, 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 swish. And probably things will be much under control, maybe because the problem is with us and not with them. If they could also do the same when they think we are getting angry, why not? Probably house would transform into a heaven with perfect cordial relationship between the significant others. So the Guru's purpose is verily that, to point out our own potentials that we can tap into and our own shortcomings that we can overcome. So the association with Guru is very important. An association with people in satsang, sajjana, like it is pointed out here, people with right attitude, people with the right thought. When we associate with them, automatically that environment gives an opportunity for the mind to calm down, not agitate the mind, rather calm the mind down. It creates the right environment to look within. We are least bothered about the other's shortcoming, and when we are least bothered about the other's shortcoming, automatically our potential shows up better. It's like when we let go of all the layers, say we have a cup or like Amma says, a jar, a transparent glass jar, which has a lot of colors smeared over it. If we just let go of all those smeared colors, we'll realize the pure water that is inside the pitcher or the jar, right? Similarly, the unnecessary thoughts we have about others or things external, as all of those smeared on our mind get washed away in the right environment, automatically our true potential is much more evident to us. And we are more inspired to use our positive qualities than the unnecessary negative qualities. So that's what good company facilitates us to understand the goodness in us, to delve within rather than pondering on things outside. And Adi Shankaracharya says, Trijagati, right? In the three worlds, when you say three worlds, there could be many interpretations to that. Spiritual point of view, one way of looking at it is, we have discussed this in different contexts, the three worlds that we live in, or the three worlds that we associate ourselves with, or three worlds that have a role in every situation that we face. Adhi Atmikam, Adhi Bhautikam, Adhi Daivikam. Adhyatmikam, Atma refers to your own self. So things that are associated with our own self, our mood, our thoughts, our anxieties, our past memories, past experiences, our sense of ego, how we relate to things, how we relate things to ourselves, all of them. That is referred to as Adhyatmikam. So all these factors play an important role. If I'm not in a good mood right now, the way I behave in this situation is going to be different. If I'm in a good mood, it's going to be different. If I am in a situation wherein I had a similar experience in the past which wasn't good, my attitude towards that situation is going to be different. I know someone who got attacked by a dog, then on whenever they see a dog, they get paranoid. It's very natural. So past experiences, how I relate to things. When you say a car or a beautiful computer, when it is mine, I tend to praise it all the more and defend it all the more when someone says it's not good. But if it is not mine, automatically my attitude is going to be different. So all these factors is Adhyatmikam. So that's one world we live in, our own world that we create. Two, Adhi Bhautikam. Bhautikam refers to the physical things, people and things around us in the physical realm. They also play an important role. The friends, the wealth that we amass, the friends that we have, so many other things that we have around us, all of them play an important role. The world that we have created of the physical things around us. Any one of them gets affected, they affect us. That way, the situation that we are in gets affected. So Adhi Bhautikam is that. The third world, Adhyatmikam, the world that is beyond our mind, beyond the physical realm. Things that need to be in place so as to make our effort complete. What we were discussing about. Our effort and divine grace. When you say divine grace, it is Adhi Daivikam. All those factors that we need help of to face a situation. They all need to fall in place. Unless and until they don't fall in place, our effort is not going to be complete. So that is what we refer to as Adhi Daivikam. So in all the three worlds, we need Sajjana Sangati. In all these three levels, personal level, the physical level, and that which is beyond the physical and personal mental level, we do need good company. So at personal level, our own self, we need to be, like the Bhagavad Gita verse said, Atmeva Hyatmano Bandhu, Atmeva Ripuratmana. We could be our own good friend, we could be our worst enemy. So we need to create the good friend within ourselves rather than the enemy within us. So kindle and help the good friend within us to develop rather than the enemy, the foe. Second, in the Adhi Bhautikam, at the physical level, try to have good things around us that create a positive feeling within us, have good people around us that help us develop positive qualities. And Adhidaivikam, the company of the Sadguru, which helps us grow further. So, in all these three worlds, we need Sajjana Sangati, good company. So, once we have that, the last line of the verse says, Bhavati Bhavarnava Tarane Nauka. Bhavarnava, the ocean of Bhava, the Bhavasagara, the ocean of ego. Bhava, to exist. To exist, we need ego to exist. We need to go beyond that. We need to go beyond the mundane existence that we have. So, to go beyond that, we need the boat. To go beyond this ocean of ego, of transmigration. And what is that boat? Sajjana Sangati. That company at all these three levels will help us get across the ocean of our so-called ego, our so-called pride of existence. So we need the right company at all these three levels, is what the verse talks about. So we need the goodness within us to develop. We need good people around us that we associate with. And 3, we need a Sadguru who would guide us in the right path. So that would be the 13th verse. And we are a little past half an hour into our discussion. So we'll discuss the 14th verse also today. The 14th verse goes as Jatilo Mundi Lunchita Kesha Kashayambara Bahukrita Vesha Pashyannapicha na Pashyati Mudho Hold on, I just Pashyannapi chana pashyati mudho hyudara nimittam bahukritavesha. So let's look into the pronunciation first, word by word, and then we'll move on to the meaning. Jatilo, the T with the dot below, so rolling your tongue up, ta, ta. Jatilo, Jatilo, Jatilo. Mundi, N and the D with the dots below, so rolling your tongue up, nda. Mundi, Mundi, Mundi. Lunchita, Lunchita Kesha, Lunchita Kesha, Lunchita Kesha. Jatilo Mundi Lunchita Kesha. Jatilo Mundi Lunchita Kesha. Kashayambara Bahukrita Vesha. So Kashaya, Kashaya, S with the dot below, so rolling your tongue up. Kashaya, Kashaya. And Ambara, Ambara. So together it would be Kashayambara, Kashayambara, Kashayambara. Bahu, Bahu, Bahu. Krita, Krita, K-R, R, Krita, Krita. Bahukrita, Bahukrita, Bahukrita. Vesha, S with the dot below, so sha, rolling your tongue up. Vesha, Vesha. Bahukrita Vesha, Bahukrita Vesha, Bahukrita Vesha. Pashyannapi. There are 2 N's, Pashyannapi. So, napi. Had it been just 1 N, it would be Pashyannapi. Pashyannapi. Because there are 2 N's, it is Pashyannapi. 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 Cha. 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 Na. 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 Pashyannapi cha na. Pashyannapi cha na. Pashyati. 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 Moodha. It's D with the dot below, so rolling your tongue up, da. And there is H following, there is an H following, so it is dha. Dha. Moodha. 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 Pashyannapi chana. Pashyati moodha. Pashyannapi chana. Pashyati moodha. Udara nimittam. Udara nimittam. So two terms, udara and nimittam. Udara. 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 Nimittam. There are two T's. So had it been just one T, it would be nimittam. There are two T's, it is nimittam. 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 Udara nimittam. Bahu. 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 Krita. 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 So bahu krita. Bahu krita. Bahu krita. Vesha. 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 Udara nimittam. Bahu krita vesha. Udara nimittam. Bahu krita vesha. So the verses Jatilo mundi lunchita kesha kashayambara bahukrita vesha pashyannapi chana pashyati moodho udara nimittam bahukrita vesha. So let's chant it together. I'll do it first time. If you're familiar, please join me. The second time, let's definitely do it together. Jatilo mundi lunchita kesha kashayambara bahukrita vesha pashyannapi chana pashyati moodha udara nimittam bahukrita vesha. Together once more. Jatilo mundi lunchita kesha kashayambara bahukrita vesha pashyannapi chana pashyati moodha udara nimittam bahukrita vesha. Jatila. Jatilo mundi. Munda, to shave your head. You know, you may have noticed it during the Diksha ceremony that we had a couple of years ago now. The sannyasa and the brahmacharya Diksha, everyone was, especially the men, everyone was shaven, clean shaven, right? So mundi, clean shaven head. And then you would have a few strands of hair in the back top of the head. So it's a ascetic, sign of an ascetic who has hair locks in the back. So Jatilo mundi, shaven head with some hair locks in the back. Lunchita kesha. Kesha, hair. Lunchita, literally it means to pull your hair out. Typically the tradition is when you take sannyasa, you shave your hair and only some strands of hair remain. And then as part of the ceremony, as part of the tradition, that those couple of strands of hair are pulled out of your head to symbolize detachment, and they are offered into the fire. So one who is trying to renounce outwardly is what the point is coming, the point is to be made in this verse. So Jatilo Mundi Lunchita Kesha, having all these things done to accept sannyasa. Kashayambara, Kashaya, the color ochre, the dull orange color. Ambar, so Kashayambara, to be dressed in the ochre robes. Bahukruta Vesha, Vesha, appearance. Bahukruta, trying all these various options to look like a sannyasi, to look like a renunciate, to look as if we are highly spiritually evolved. So having shaven head, the hair lock, and remove the hair removed, and to wear the ochre robe, the orange robe. Pashyan chana pashyati mudho. Pashyan api chana. Though you see, na pashyati mudha. Though the mudha, a foolish person. Very first verse we had it, right? Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam, Bhaja Mudha Mate. Mudha, the term, one who is slow in processing thoughts. So, a foolish person, Pashyannapi cha na pashyati. Pashyati, to see. Pashyannapi na pashyati. Na pashyati, doesn't see. Though he sees, he doesn't see. Or though she sees, she doesn't see. So a foolish person is such that though they see, they don't see. They see, but they don't perceive, is the point here. Udara nimittam, udara, stomach. Nimittam, for the sake of the stomach, bahukruta vesha. All these various appearances that we adorn is just for the sake of the stomach. Just to satisfy our needs, we do that. Not to really grow spiritually, is what the verse is pointing out to. So to summarize the main points in this verse is the 2 points that I can think of or to summarize this verse. One, we can make our outward appearances show as if we are growing spiritually or we have already grown spiritually. That is one way of showing off that we are growing spiritually. But finally, all this drama is only for the stomach. If we really need to grow spiritually, outward thing is secondary. Inward growth is most important. So that's the point the verse is highlighting here. To grow internally, not to really pay too much attention to how we show it off externally. If we do it just focusing on external appearance, then it is a drama for the sake of the stomach. Drama for satisfying our own needs is what this verse talks about. So it's again a profound verse that talks about how do we assess our spiritual growth. Our spiritual growth is something that needs to happen within. For example, we have so many various sannyasis who would come to visit Amritapuri ashram, and they would stay for a few days, and ashram has a policy that any sannyasi comes, we should give them the best accord and give them accommodation, food, let them stay in the ashram for as many days as they want. Some are special instructions. So there are many kinds of sannyasis, genuine and otherwise, who would come. And some of them are so flamboyant about their sannyasa. They just show off their authority as a sannyasi, and they would demand, how come I don't have food? How come I didn't get this good room, comfortable room to stay in? And things like that. So that kind of reflects the attitude that this verse is talking about. That is a problem because not everyone who comes as a sannyasi may have lived with a Sadguru for a long time, grown spiritually, and then accepted sannyasa. There are some ashrams that you could go to wherein they assume you have done your spiritual penance and they offer you sannyasa when you request. So some people may have accepted sannyasa like that, and some people, just for the sake of doing it, they just wear ochre robes and they assume they have become sannyasis. So That's the point here. Even the sannyasa diksha that happened in 2020 in Amritapuri, if you paid attention to what Amma mentioned, what Swamiji mentioned during that event, the sannyasa event that happened in 2020 happened 22 years or 23 years after the last sannyasa diksha that happened in Amritapuri. So everyone who got initiated during that 2020 sannyasa diksha ceremony, they were at least there for 23 years. That process that they went through to grow, and only then Amma gave them sannyasa. So the external appearance, wearing, and I'm pointing out to myself too, when you wear something, it's just because you're wearing it externally doesn't make you sannyasi. You need to prove to people, or people should feel that you're sannyasi from within. Only then you truly become a sannyasi. You truly become a spiritually evolved person. It needs to be conveyed not through your physical appearance or outer appearance, rather it should be conveyed through our internal appearance, our internal self. So talking about spiritual growth, it could be of two types: outward growth and inward growth. That's what we are coming to. The discussion, the verse that it is pointing out to is this: spiritual growth could be in two ways: the outward growth and the inward growth. The outward growth is about how we dress, how we conduct ourselves, how we present ourselves. Some people say, oh, I have known Amma for 30 years, so I am greater than someone who has known Amma only for 10 years. It's very natural. People do that in many cases. It may be good to some extent. You have more experience with the organization. You may be much well aware of things, how things should be done. That is very well accepted. But when it comes to individual spiritual growth, it is the only metric there is how well are you able to control your senses and mind. The number of years you have put in the effort, more than that is how well the effort was put in, is most important. So the outward growth, oh, I have known Amma for so many years, or I have practiced meditation for so many years, etc. It may be very good that you have done. If that has reflected into your controlling your mind, why not? All that effort is very good. All these many years of doing that is very well appreciated and should very well be recognized. And I'm sure we have all experienced, during satsangs or even at work, the so-called experienced person will put a lot of don'ts forward. They'll say, don't do it like this. Don't do it like this. Even during satsang, some people say, oh, Amma has said this is how it should be done. Amma has said this is not how it should be done. Things like that. I feel personally, for organizing events, that may be required. Personally, when we are contemplating on our spiritual growth, the question we need to ask is not, or the point we need to remind ourselves is not the don'ts, rather it should be the do's. What should I do? It should not be what should I not, or what should others not. It should be about how do I do things properly is the most important thing. So the external appearance, definitely we should not completely disregard it. It is important. What we wear, how we conduct ourselves is important. But the point is, it should be genuine in nature. And how can it be genuine in nature? It can be genuine only when it naturally comes. And how can it naturally come? Only when the change happens within. The inward growth. When the inward growth happens, and as a byproduct of that, or as a consequence of that, when the outward changes happen, that should very well be recognized and respected. But just to show off a change in us with the outer appearance, that could be misleading for others and could very well be misleading for our own self. And that is what this verse is talking about. So the inner change is what we need. So the previous verse we talked about sajjana sangati, good company. Through that good company, we need to put in the effort to bring the change within us. And through that, the external change should happen naturally. Because what happens outside doesn't matter once the change happens within. What is inside is most important. It's like the story of the father who is looking at his house, beautiful mansion, completely engulfed in fire. And he's crying, "Oh my God, my house is gone, my house is gone, I'm doomed. Please, someone help me, do something about it." And his eldest son comes and he says, "Dad, why are you crying? Don't you remember? We just signed the contract yesterday and we sold this house to someone else. So it's someone else's house burning." The very next moment, the father is all in smiles. He's like, "Oh my God, I don't care. Let the house burn." And his attitude completely changes. That very moment, the second son comes and says, "Dad, but probably the elder brother doesn't know, or he didn't realize the contract didn't go through. The very last moment, the buyers backed off. And because they backed off, the house selling did not actually happen. And because of which the house is still ours." The father now, who is smiling, again starts crying, telling, "Oh my God, my house is gone, my house is gone, I'm doomed. I've lost all that I have earned, and everything, all my belongings are inside the house, they're all turning into ashes." Again starts wailing and crying. So what changed here? The same house, the same fire, the same things inside the house, everything is the same. The only thing that changed was the father's attitude. Initially, he thought it was my house, because of which he started crying. The next moment, he thought it's not my house. He was convinced that it was not his house. So he started smiling. The very next moment, he again realized, no, it is still his house. His attitude changed again. He started crying. So change externally, if it happens or not, is secondary. What change happens within is most important. If the change happens within, the external change is not of much significance. It may happen as a consequence of the internal change, but that is just organic. It just happens. It just organically happens. But the change that is most significant, that we need to be concerned about or bothered about, or we should be focused on, is the change from within. So nothing really needs to change externally. There are so many people who are so pious, so tangibly spiritually evolved. They don't need any external change. And that's the example I gave, I guess, during Lalita Sahasranama, talking about having a time lapse of Amma's videos and pictures. Externally, Amma hasn't changed at all. Amma is wearing the same white sari that she used to wear years ago. The same hairstyle, the same appearance, everything is the same. Literally nothing has changed externally in terms of Amma. Others around Amma are wearing different robes, they have different hairstyle, they have shaven at times, they have long hair, things like that. But Amma, externally there's no change at all. But the focus is ever on Amma. Why? Again, the change that Amma exemplifies from within is what inspires us. In which case, the external change may not even happen. It's not even required in that case. So, the change has to come from within, and let that organically bring in the outward change. That's fine. And most importantly, the change has to be normal. The change should not be manipulative. If it is manipulative, it may work for some time, but it is ought to fail after some time. Just telling, "Oh, I am spiritually evolved, so I should meditate for 1 hour today." I may be able to manage to meditate for 1 hour today. I may try to meditate for 1 hour for a week, but if it doesn't organically or naturally come, after a week it becomes 45 minutes, then it becomes half an hour, then it becomes 20 minutes, then it becomes 10 minutes. And then slowly our mind will find a reason to get out of it. Rather, it should be the other way around. It should naturally come, starting with 15, 20, 25, 30, and slowly we are able to meditate for 1 hour. And this is just an example. Meditation is just one example. We should be able to chant something, or we should be able to do selfless activity, or we should be able to control our anger for 1 hour every day. Then it should grow to 2 hours every day. Then it should grow to 10 hours every day. Then it should grow to 24 hours every day. That's how we would gauge the progress that we have. So it needs to happen in a natural way. It should happen in a natural course. It should not be something that we just enforce upon us. So wearing the external clothes just like that is like that, and just for no reason is like that. It's just something that doesn't happen naturally, and because it doesn't happen naturally, it may be a case wherein we won't be able to hold on to it. It's 1 hour since we began. We just finished in few minutes. So the point is, it should happen naturally. It should happen with the flow. It should not be artificial in nature. The more artificial it is in nature, more brittle it would be. Easily that it would shatter. The effort and the so-called growth that we, take pride in. So it should be slow. The best attitude we could have so as to gauge whether it is happening naturally is the question, am I growing for others' sake, to show off to others, or am I growing to answer my own conscience? And the answer should be the latter. We should grow to satisfy our own conscience, and that growth will be natural. That growth will be organic in nature. To satisfy our own conscience is what we should grow for, not to show off to others. And that's what this verse is again talking about. If we are growing outwardly just for the sake of showing others, it is just for this. Actually, it's a matter of satisfying our stomach, our needs, udara nimittam, just to fill our stomach, to get food, to satisfy all our needs. That should not be the case. It should be to satisfy our own conscience. So the goal is definitely important, but the path we take is equally important as far as spiritual growth is concerned. Our goal is to reach that spiritual state wherein we are detached, we are the best of ourselves. But how we grow is important. Just if we artificially put ourselves up as if I'm very detached, that detachment could just disappear like that any point of time. So what we need is to give importance to how we grow. That should happen naturally. It's like the story, and we'll conclude with this story. It's like this person who is taking part in this treasure hunt, a huge $1 million treasure hunt game. And they have 10 clues that they need to go through so as to finally get to the treasure, which gives them $1 million. So this one particular participant thinks, why don't I directly look for the treasure? It is going to be in this area. Why don't I just look for them? Why waste my time looking for the clues? Whereas all the fellow participants are looking for the clues, why don't I directly don't waste time and go to the treasure? And he immediately does that. And he sees that all the participants are going here and there, looking for the clue. Every now and then he would hear someone scream telling, oh, I got the first clue. Someone else would scream, I got the second clue. And they're all happy, jubilant. He thinks all that is waste of time and effort. Let me look for the treasure. And lo and behold, he actually found the treasure chest that all these clues finally lead to. And he sees that it's an old chest with a very specialized form of lock. It's very difficult to open. He thinks, before others get to this treasure, let me quickly somehow open this and take all the $1 million for myself. And I can always claim I got to the treasure. Why do I need the clues? And then he takes a hammer, tries to break open the lock, and he breaks open the lock. And then he opens the chest. There's another chest inside. There's another lock. He breaks open that. He opens that chest. There's another small box. He breaks open that box, and there's a small note. There's no money. There's no $1 million there. There is only one note. And what did the note read? The note read, you got here because you didn't look for the clues. Those who looked for the clues would never get to this point. Why? Because every clue had $100,000 tied with the clue. So every time someone found a clue, they got the $100,000. They go to the next clue, they got another $100,000. They go to the next clue, they got another $100,000. And as they get through the 10 clues, they get $1 million. Right? 10 times 100,000 is million. So they get to the $1 million. And they didn't even have the need to get to the chest. So only the person who tried to bypass all the clues and got to the chest is the one who would see this note telling you never look for the clues, because the clues are the ones that were rewarding, not the final chest. So no one got to the chest, but only this guy who got to the chest and got this note telling you did a foolish thing. So finding a shortcut in spirituality, directly going to the goal, becoming a sannyasi or becoming externally spiritual, is going to backfire. Each step that we take is rewarding. Each step has $100,000 associated with it. And as we go through each step, we are earning those $100,000 and we are growing. And as we grow, we get to the final destination. We don't even need to open the chest, because we have already reached that state wherein we have no more goals. We don't even need to open the chest. Only one who tries to bypass all these, the organic way of growing, will try to force open the chest and will find that all that unnecessary effort was meaningless. So that's what this verse is trying to point out. All these external appearances which may seem like a shortcut, let us not go for it. Let us understand all this is just for satisfying our needs and desires. What we actually need is to grow within and grow organically, grow naturally. I hope the points came through fine. Hope today's session made sense. So let us conclude today's session, because we are past 1 hour of discussion. Let's not chant the verses. We'll do it some other time when we have enough time to chant them. So let's conclude today's session, sincerely praying to the Almighty that every being in the creation is happy, content, and peaceful. Let us chant the Shanti mantra together 3 times. Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namah. Hari Om.